and then just literally freeze everyone in front of you. For this one, I like to take Frost Nexus. When you freeze, you create chilled ground, which has everyone.
Falling Thunder is a lightning area attack. If you have power charges, this skill will consume them to deal a lot more damage and create
this one, I like to take
projectiles.
Frost Nexus. When you freeze.
Falling Thunder is a lightning area attack. If you have power charges,
you create chilled ground, which has everyone that is not frozen just get bonus chill and get frozen as well. And on top, inspiration to reduce. Skill cost, since the skill is relatively expensive with 67 mana, and the Frost Nexus would be another 120% bonus, so you want to lower this. And a Wave of Frost kind of overtakes the Frozen Locust here, and as we later add a third jump slot to it, I would probably take the Ice Bind, increasing my attack damage if I then froze something on the Wave of Frost, to just have it juice up. Probably take the Ice Bind, increasing my attack damage if I then froze.
Una mochila aquí. Una mochila y una
mochila sigue el casco, que casi no entraba, lo tuve que mantener ya presentado como sacar.
No entra, si en esa bolsa he tenido 2 pares de botas.
Joder, pero me di yo.
Por eso te digo, tío.
Presión todo
Te
para
dije, las botas, ahora me tengo que cargar las botas.
No me di cuenta de las botas. Bueno, ¿y yo qué quieres, brother?
Es que me dice las botas.
No me di cuenta. Mira que te mandé una foto y me dijiste, ok.
Something on the Wave of Frost to just have it juice up furthermore. I would still keep the Frozen Low, probably take the Ice Bind, increasing my attack damage if I then froze something on the Wave of Frost to just have it juice. Probably take the Ice Bind, increasing my attack damage if I then kinda overtakes the Frozen Locust here. And as we later add a third gem slot to it, I would probably take the Ice Bind, increasing my attack damage if I then froze something on the Wave of Frost to just have it juice up furthermore. I would still keep the Frozen Locust in my skill set, as it can be useful to drop the Wave of Frost and the Locust in front of you, then the Bell, and keep ice striking into it to destroy everything. That's pretty much it though, apart from doing your Ascension already with level 21 and having a goddamn easy time, especially since we're doing freezing damage, and there's a fire boss to Twaxili and is weak to frost. Now you might be worried that you're a melee character, how are you going to handle the Trials of Sekhmet? But it really wasn't a problem. The Frozen Locust, the Ice Strike, Tempest Bell, Herald of Ice, Glacial Cascade, I had no issues staying alive and not taking honor damage while you just get everything clibbity-clabbity. And the Ascension you're looking for is the Invoker, with the first 2 points for me going into increased magnitude of chill inflict, and also gain 10% damage as extra cold damage. Unfreezing enemies create chilled ground. So that's pretty good. As soon as you get this with a chilled ground, you also don't rely on the Frost Nexus anymore that you have on the Wave of Frost, because now we're creating that chilled ground. And you can play Glaciation instead for even more freeze buildup that used to be on the Frozen Locust. Now in the long run, we're looking at Lead Me Through Grace to gain even more spirit, as we're planning to play 3-4 different spirit abilities.
Why don't you guys invite me out for drinks?
We texted you in the group alliance chat.
Oh wait, Pete has less than 1 million power. He's not in the group alliance chat.
Right now we get our second point into Unbound Avatar, which is going to juice our elemental damage like crazy. We'll talk planning, and you can planning to play 3-4 different spirit abilities. But right now we get our second point into Unbound Avatar, which is going to juice our elemental damage like crazy. We'll talk about Unbound Avatar in a bit. No, nothing more.
Holy. No hay poder. Seguro, man. Uf. Basta. No. Sacan todo lo nuevo, boludo. Qué locura, man. A ver. A ver si está lo vivo.
More is changing about this in Act 2. You get the wave of frost, the frozen locusts, occasionally glacial cascade, and mostly just ice striking. You're planning to like
the plan. Grab those gems. Phase 1.
4 different spirit abilities. Right now we get our second point into Unbound Avatar, which is going to juice our elemental damage like crazy. We'll talk about Unbound Avatar in a bit. No, nothing more is changing about this in Act 2. You get the Wave of Frost, the Frozen Locust, occasionally Glacial Cascade, and mostly just ice striking your opponent like mad with the Tempest Bell. And again, the Act 2 end boss was the easiest he has ever been. I didn't even have to avoid much because, again, we've been mainly juicing up our evasion rating and we have been getting some energy shield on top, making us so sturdy. With the rage together and the damage scaling of the Frost plus the belts, you're just whacking your opponent silly. Try to get a quarterstaff that does a lot of physical damage, potentially with cold imbuement. Otherwise, fire doesn't hurt since you can ignite the bell and have it get more damage because of all the elemental ailments on it. That would be then frost and ignite. Physical damage though is your friend because physical damage is being turned to cold, and the more cold you do, the more freeze build up, the easier you have it versus bosses. To just beat him silly. And in Act 3 comes the most important change. You're getting your lightsaber, and finally that passive node will make sense. The lightsaber is called Charge Staff. Consume all power charges to infuse.
Falling Thunder. Charged Staff consumes your power charge.
And finally, that passive node will make sense. The lightsaber is called Charge Staff.
Charged Staff
all power charges to infuse your quarterstaff with electricity.
Falling Thunder. Charged Staff consumes your...
You're adding 1 to 8 electric damage to your quarterstaff, and the buff duration is 6 seconds per power charge consumed, up to a maximum of 18 seconds. Your staff from this point will also send forward a shockwave that converts 80% of physical damage to lightning damage. You're not only getting a lightsaber with bonus lightning damage, you're also shooting lightning forward that will hit your bell will get shocked, and then you have shock damage going out, frost damage going out, and maybe even fire damage going out if you then have a staff with a bit of fire on it. But how do we get power charges now? And as soon in Act 3 as you kill the witch in the bomb, you get the next plus 30 spirit, sitting at a grand total of 60 spirit. Then you'll have to make sure to get 83 dexterity, either with a ring giving you more dex, or just simply taking it up. Dex nodes in the passive tree. I had to personally have a ring with plus 10 dex, or something that gave me plus 10 int, and go for more dex nodes in the board. And this Combat Frenzy, when you freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy, will give you a Frenzy Charge. Now, Frenzy Charges are useless, but if you remember, the Keystone Resonance says power charges instead of Frenzy Charges. Which means whenever I freeze someone right now, and I consistently freeze bosses, normal enemies, whoever, I get a power charge. And with the perfusion support, you have a 50% chance to have that buff up, versus bosses as well. If you want to make sure to truly have it always going on, I move the persistence buff from my bell over to the staff to have it. Go crazy. And then on the bell with the tier 2 support gem, you can put heavy swing. Supported skills deal 35%. Going on, I moved the persistence buff from my bell over to the staff to have it go crazy. And then on the...
Have you ever played a game where the more players you kill, the stronger you become? The Stark mobile game known as the Player's Nightmare will change your view of M.
Bell with a tier 2 support gem, you can put heavy... Going on, I moved the persistence buff from my bell over to the staff to have it go crazy. And then... On the bell with a tier 2 support gem, you can put heavy... Swing. Supported skills deal 35% more... For melee physical damage, and supported skill have 10% less attack speed. That less attack speed doesn't matter because the damage that's going out is bound to the swings I'm putting in, and it just nicely uses 100 damage more right now. That one gets multiplied upward further as well with the rage that we're building up from the ice strikes anyways. So it's really nice to have that heavy swings on the battle. If you're lucky, you might pick up a jeweler's orb for the ice strike to have a third slot, and in my case I use that primal from the ice strikes anyways. So it's really nice to have that heavy swings on the battle. If you're lucky, you might pick up a jeweler's orb for the ice strike to have a third slot, and in my case I use that primal armorman with a Tier 2 support to juice the ice strike even further. That's almost 400 damage more. And if we're raging to get that 30% more attack damage, well, we're ending up ice strike with 3,000 damage and beyond. I think it's 3,500 at this point. The DPS goes up so crazy. And that's you tearing through Act 3, absolutely obliterating everything. Like nothing can stop you. The Chimera, dude coming out of the wall, Doriani, even the Viper, we almost one-faced her. I don't even know how that is possible. We almost prevented her poison spear stabbing phase by just doing overwhelming damage. With level 41, we did our second ascendancy. And as our boss, we get that poisonous bird boss, and I was concerned for a second that it could be a just humiliate that poor bird. And this will lead to 2 more points and the Unbound Avatar we talked about. You get 12% more elemental damage and the skill. They see me using tier 1, tier 2 gems, no tier 3 gems, and that's because we're level 42 right now. No worries, there will be an updated video coming with the endgame-ish version of this build that's also going to be containing all the tier 3 gems and beyond. And the next step is going to pick up another plus 30 spirit as you're then in Act 3 Cruel, kill the witch in the box again. And with that more spirit, we're adding lightning with the Herald of Thunder. And the Herald of Thunder says, if you kill a shocked enemy with an attack, there will be lightning bolts with the Herald, another plus 30 spirit as you're then in Act 3 and beyond. But the next step is going to pick up another plus 30 spirit as you're then in Act 3 Cruel, kill the witch in the box again. And with that more spirit, we're adding lightning with the Herald of Thunder. And the Herald of Thunder says, if you kill a shocked enemy with an attack, is possible anyways means our opponents take 20. So we have a higher chance to, and now you're the official, so we have a higher chance to shock and always have something shock. Where shock anyways means our opponents take 20% more damage. And now you're the official Herald of, so we have a higher chance to spell to lightning resonate out, and the charge staff itself has that shockwave lightning damage forward, which might make you think about adding conduction to your charge staff, so we have a higher chance to shock and always have something shocked, where shock anyways means
Falling.
our opponents take 20% more damage. And now you're the official Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder, Lightning Madness. And the Herald of Thunder you can boost with things like Lightning Infuse anyways means our opponents take 20% more damage. And now you're the official Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder, Lightning Madness. And the Herald of Thunder you can boost with anyways means our opponents take 20% more damage. And now you're the official Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder, Lightning Madness. And the Herald of Thunder you can boost with things like Lightning Infusion, even though that would lead to less damage right now because we might do some cold and fire damage with our quarterstaff, and it will reduce it. But these spells will shift with armor. If you have an evasion rating of 1000 damage bonus and even more critical damage bonus, into increased damage if you've done a critical hit recently, critical hit chance, and then even more crit chance and damage bonus if you crit hit recently. Might even think about just generally juicing out the rest of the board, as these are all crit hit, crit damage bonuses, and that will just really well work together with the crashing wave in the beginning to really crit overload you. And if you go to the top, past the jewel socket, you can get more damage with hits against frozen enemies and freeze buildup, plus hitting more non-negative elemental resistance of frozen enemies and increased freeze buildup. As a later stage goal, we kind of want to aim our way towards this node, the Falcon technique, or increase attack speed per 15 decks. And then you do have a lot of decks up here, and most important, increased evasion rating and increased evasion rating of equipped body armor. And now keep in mind, we said here that we're going to turn the we're getting maximum energy shield per evasion rating on equipped body armor. So if I have 1,000 evasion rating body armor, or even 1,500 evasion rating body armor, we can put that up to 3,000, and 3,000 divided by 12 will give us an easy 250 energy shield bonus without having to do anything. It's just more defense for free. In the long run, we're probably aiming for can evade all hits, 70% evasion rating, here all the evasion ratings. It should lead to very good values down with the acrobatics. We can even avoid area attacks. Let's not forget about gear. First, the most important piece, the quarter stuff. I have one with fire damage, cold damage, and then melee. And the ones I used before were something with just straight up as possible. For rings, you're really looking for physical attack, damage as life, and mana to really stay topped up at any given point. Chest is evasion, helmet should be energy shield as possible. For rings, you're really looking for physical attack, damage as life, and mana to really stay topped up at any given point. Chest is evasion, helmet as possible. For rings, you're really looking for physical attack, damage as life, and mana to really stay topped up at any given point. Chest this evasion, helmet should be energy shield. Boots can be both. Gloves can be both. On gloves, you're obviously looking for damage gloves again with more physical damage and more cold damage. And if you want to
había tirado una buena. Wow. Khoan khỏi ơi. Rồi. Rồi. Khỏi lại xíu. Rồi. Rồi. Không có phút. Rồi. 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 Ahora mismo. Me va a estar. Son estas porongas. Nada. ¿Qué pedo, boludo?
Cuentos demoníacos. 7 niveles. No hay nada tan aterrador como lo desconocido. He reunido las historias más extrañas, impactantes y originales relacionadas con el misterioso mundo de la demonología y el cristianismo. Comencemos en la punta del iceberg. Nivel 1. El infierno de Dante. En el siglo XIV, el polímata medieval italiano Dante Alighieri escribió lo que aún se considera una de las grandes obras literarias del mundo, la Divina Comedia. Este poema, dividido en 3 partes, aborda el más allá, desde la oscuridad hasta la luz divina, y culmina en una visión del Dios cristiano. La primera parte, el infierno, ha inspirado numerosas pinturas a lo largo de los siglos. Narra el viaje del propio Dante, guiado por el poeta romano Virgilio, a través del inframundo. Un reino de sufrimiento donde los humanos impenitentes, criaturas mitológicas e incluso deidades, son llevados al límite de su resistencia mental y física como castigo por la vida que llevaron. Las palabras de Dante pintaron un retrato espeluznante del infierno, que inspiró muchas representaciones grotescas. Según él, el infierno está compuesto por 9 círculos, y cada uno